Hey everyone. So, before we get into trigonometry, we're going to review something that you learned in geometry, which is converting angle measurements from degrees to radians or radians to degrees. So, radians, as you may have guessed, are just a different way of measuring an angle. So, these are both angle measurements. They just look different, but they're really equivalent. So a big thing we're going to talk about in this trig unit is the unit circle. And it's called the unit circle because the radius is equal to 1. Okay, so you may remember the formula for the circumference of a circle is 2 pi r. We can substitute 1 for the radius, and the circumference is 2 pi times 1, or just 2 pi. Now that's all the way around a circle. So 360 degrees, which is all the way around a circle, is equivalent to 2 pi radians. So don't forget the unit means the 1. Now if we divide both sides by 2 to simplify, we get that pi radians equals 180 degrees. And from here we'll derive the formulas for conversion. So if we want to convert, if we're given degrees and asked to convert to radians, we're going to take our angle measurement and multiply that by pi over 180. So if we want our answer to be in radians, the pi is in the numerator. So for example, if I wanted to take 120 degrees and convert it to radians, I'm going to multiply that by pi over 180. Now, since we want exact answers, I'm not going to have you multiply by pi here, because that will give you a decimal that will go on forever. So what you do is take the number on top, place it over the number in the denominator, and add a pi at the end. So here we need to simplify this fraction. You can do this in your calculator, simplifying a fraction. You can do it by hand. So I can divide these both by 10, and the zeros go away. Then I can simplify further. 12 and 18 are both divisible by 6. Don't forget, we need to write a pi in our answer. So this simplifies to 2/3 pi, or 2 pi over 3 radians. So with radians, you want pi in the answer. So let's try another. Convert 225 degrees to radians. So when we want radians, you multiply it by pi in the numerator over 180 in the denominator. Take the numerator over the denominator and leave the pi on the right. And we'll simplify our fraction. And that's 5 over 4 pi, or 5 pi over 4 radians. So what about when we're asked to go backwards and convert radians to degrees? Okay, so here we will multiply by 180 over pi. So if we want degrees, we have 180 in the numerator. If we want radians, we flip this and leave pi in the numerator. So let's try some. Convert pi over 4 radians to degrees. So it's going to look like pi over 4 times 180 over pi. And this is good. We don't have to multiply anything by pi, because when you're multiplying fractions, you can simplify diagonally. So the pi's are gone, putting it into degrees, which is what we want. So we're left with 180 over 4. Just plug that into your calculator. And that gives you 45 degrees. Then what if I asked you to convert 3 pi over 2 radians to degrees? We would just follow the same process. 3 pi over 2 times 180 over pi. The pi's will simplify. Multiply across the top, then divide by the denominator. So 3 times 180 is 540. Divide that by 2. And 3 pi over 2 radians equals 270 degrees.